Hi everybody, it's Mairi Moibeal. Thank you for being here. This is the Cosmic Update for December 2020. If this is your first time here, thank you for being here. Be sure to like and subscribe to my page. You can find me on social media as mmhealingservices or at the Autistic Astrologer on Facebook and on YouTube. So when we talk about the December Cosmic Update, December 2020 does not disappoint cosmically. There is a lot going on. There are 5 different planets that will shift in the zodiac. There's a new moon eclipse in Sagittarius at 23 degrees. Chiron is activated all December and will provide a nice space for the potential for healing. The solstice and the grand or great conjunction is happening on the 21st. There's a ton of information out on that, and there will be a separate cosmic update for that this week as well. And then Mars does its final square to Pluto at the end of this month. We wrap up the month with a nice full moon in Cancer. This is a potentially soothing, healing, nurturing, intuitive full moon. It is in its detriment in Capricorn. However, Saturn has finally moved out. So for the first time in 3 years, this moon will not have Saturn at home, keeping it kind of structured. And in comparison to the rest of what has been happening, this is a potential to feel very nurturing, almost like a hug at the end of the year, getting us into 2021. So we're going to break all of that down, but some things that I do just want you to remember as we move through, as you hear things about astrology or from scientists or from religious people, like we're all kind of talking about the same stuff. How we get there may be different. But what I will remind you is this isn't the end of the world. The world isn't ending here, especially when we talk about December 21st and the grand conjunction and the solstice. It is a big deal. But these are things that are playing out in different ways for different people. There are so many different cycles open right now. Some of them are about to end, some more are about to open. So there's cycles and cycles happening within each of us and happening throughout the collective. And so when you read things about what's happening and what's coming, just be sure that, you know, I've seen a lot of things based in fear, and I don't feel that way. You know, when we evolve, when we, you know, journey to another point or go through something or heal from something, a lot of times that is uncomfortable. You know, we're growing. A lot of times that is scary, and being aware of it and having some fear is one thing. But a lot of the things that I have seen and a lot of the people that have reached out to me have read things that are based and rooted in deep fear of what is coming. And that's just not my experience. That's not the way I feel about it. Will it be uncomfortable? Will things be really hard? Absolutely. But fear is not what I am clinging on to as we move forward. So that being said, 2020 also isn't the end. When we get out of 2020, things will continue. It's not like 2020 is over and everything is, you know, magical and rosy. On top of what's happening in the world that needs to be dealt with the planets, Capricorn will still hold Pluto until 2024. So what Pluto is doing in Capricorn is bringing up things in our foundational structures, our politics, our law and order, the deep structures, and it's bringing things out of the shadows. It's bringing things up to the light that are decaying and need to be removed, and it's going to stay there until 2024. So again, for the United States, that's another presidential cycle where Capricorn is still going to hold Pluto. So we're not entering 2021 and just kind of done into this new shift of energy and, you know, awareness. That's just not what's happening. So it's important to stay aware of the bigger picture. And as we get closer into 2021, I will have big picture, year ahead cosmic updates to kind of tie that in too. But just a reminder that, you know, it's not like this is the checkpoint and then everything will kind of be good again. There are still things that need to be addressed, still things that need to come up to be healed, to be seen, to be torn down and rebuilt. So The other thing in December is Neptune. Neptune is very active. Neptune is now 2 weeks direct, but it's still in its shadow phase at home in Pisces. So there's still a lot of fog, still a lot of unsure what's true, what's real for me, what has been put onto me, what is my truth, what part of my fantasies can become truth, and how we get there. So there's still a lot of fogginess that is surrounding people. And as we move through December, that's going to start getting clearer, and even more so when we get into January 2021. But it's, you know, still confusion around what is real, what is coming for us, and, you know, like how we can make our dreams a reality, and how that kind of, we can hold two of those things in one space. The good thing that I will say I am excited for this month is that Capricorn charts, heavy natal charts that have Capricorn placements, or Saturn dominant natal charts, or even people that have late degree cardinal signs, we get to breathe. As we move out of this, it shifts the energy into the fixed signs. So Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio will take a little bit of the brunt of hard aspect energy that will be happening and shifting. And Capricorns, we get to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief, and grow from the things that we've been learning significantly. So you will start to feel that release if you have heavy Capricorn, Saturn dominant, or late cardinal sign degrees. So those are kind of like my brief like tidbits of overview. So now we're going to get into it a little more in depth about what is happening and how it's playing out. So we started the month coming off of that full moon eclipse in Gemini. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, there is a cosmic update that you can watch regarding that moon. And it is leading into the new moon in Sagittarius that happens on the 14th of this month, Monday. So eclipse cycles are karmic releases. We are ending things karmically. And so, you know, again, more on that there, but that's what we came into December with. On the first day of December, Mercury moved into Sagittarius after its long hold in Libra and Scorpio. Remember, there was Mercury retrograde. So we did all that back and forth in Libra and Scorpio, and now it's moved into Sagittarius. And in Sagittarius, it is ready to speak its truth. It is ready to, you know, share its knowledge and its wisdom. And you know, it's seeing a broader vision and wanting to share that with people, a different perspective, a wider perspective with people. But at the beginning of the month, there was a lot of kind of hazy energy regarding an aspect we call an antisha, and that just, it's a lot of shadowy energy. So things still coming to light pretty much at the beginning of December as we move through. A lot of stuff happening in the background that we may see come to light later in the month. But for right now, there's a lot of like back end things still happening as we move through the first week of December. When we get into the 9th and the 10th, we start to see the moon and Mercury shuffling around, getting closer together in Sagittarius. So on the 10th, on Thursday, the sun conjoins the nodes in Sagittarius. And so this energy is fiery, right? So Sagittarius and the sun are both fire. So when we have those sitting together with the nodes, that's karmic. And so we may have a tendency to want to go back to react in a way that is instinctual for us. But over the last couple months, couple years, we've been trying to get out of this cycle. And this is a potential opportunity for you to break out of that cycle. The South Node wants to pull you back into who you were, who you used to be, the patterns that you used to have. And new directions and new paths start to come to light here. There's also a nice sextile between Venus and Pluto, and the moon is active in Libra. So this could also be an emotional energy. This could be an anxious energy as we move through, because there is a lot of back and forth on what's happening. But the Libra moon is able to keep you focused on you know, the balancing that we're doing and the things that we've learned, because it will square the Capricorn Council at the end of the day on, I think, the 10th. Yes, the end of the day on the 10th. So that energy has the potential to be pretty intense, but the important part here is that you root into what you have been learning through this last cycle, and we get out of the old patterns that we carry with us with these nodes, because that's what this eclipse season is doing for us. It's allowing us to release old patterns, old cycles that we have been stuck in, and kind of move and evolve out of those. So that is the 10th. On the 11th, the sun makes a trine to Mars. And with the sun trining Mars, again, this is fiery energy. So there's going to be a lot of energy and things happening inside of you. And this is almost kind of like a nice energy to be able to kind of see the future developing. As we come out of the past, right? So it hits that conjunction to the nodes, and then the sun moves away from the nodes, and it hits a trine, which is a nice aspect to Mars. And so even though Mars is heavy and hot, so there is combustible energy, right? There could be a lot of aggression, a lot of frustration here with this energy, but there's also a great potential to be able to see what is coming for us and how the future may unfold for us and how we can get there. So over those next few days, that weekend, the 11th through the 13th, is a good time for us to maybe have some things start to come to light on how maybe we can get past this and see this new vision for the future. Just glimpses here. This isn't like a full-fledged, like, okay, here's my plan, let's go. This is glimpses of like hope as we move through that. But that following week, it gets really hot, really heavy, and really heated. So on the 13th, it's a Sunday, and we move into the position for the moon in Sagittarius eclipse. Again, that is at 23 degrees Sagittarius. So on that same time, Mercury is going to be squaring Mars as well. So there's a lot of different energy that's going to play in. But the main theme here is what's real and what's illusion. So it's coming back to that same theme. We've had this consistently because that's what we're tearing down. What is our truth? What is real for us? And how can we live that in the world? How do we show up in the most authentic ways? So these are things that we have been peeling back, right? Where it's like peeling back an onion to find our truth. This energy might even have like shocking revelation. Like it might be a time where something happens and you're like, no, that's a blatant lie. Things that we used to maybe believe. We're in a different position, a different space now. Mercury is now in Sagittarius. The sun is in Sagittarius. We're able to see a broader vision, and we're able to see where we've been lied to, where we've been misled, where things have been put on us that, aren't our truth or weren't in our best interest. And so the third week really starts to pick up with the energy. The eclipse sets it off on Monday. And because it's an eclipse with the South Node, and it's a new moon. South Node is past karma, and a new moon is new beginnings. And so there is an ending here, an underlying tone of endings, of cycles. The other piece of it is it's in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is at the end of its fall in Capricorn. So it's at the 29th degree of Capricorn at this point, 28th, 29th degree of Capricorn during this moon. And so it's at the end of its fall. So again, this is endings of things. We are ending. We are tying up loose ends. The problem is we still can't see fully where we're going. So there's a hesitancy to release because we don't know what we're doing. So this is more of like an emptying out so that we can like, okay, here's this space. Hopefully like something's going to come into it. That's where we are. Okay. So it's surrendering and trusting and believing that this cycle and the answers are coming to us, which is difficult, and that's why it is a struggle for a lot of people, and that is valid. But this is, again, it's an underlying tone of endings, but it's not quite endings, and we can't quite see where we're going. So it's like, okay, well, let me dump it out and just hope, like here's my empty bucket, like fill me. So That's kind of that energy. Again, there's going to be more updates on the moon as we get closer to it. And if you have any questions about how that's going to work for you, you can book a session. We can do tarot or astrology and see how that's going to show up for you in your life. But that is the 14th. The day after, on the 15th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So again, we have Venus with our desires and Sagittarius with our expansion. So this is a time where Venus is able to come in after this moon, and she gets into a place where she's much more comfortable, and she's able to kind of stand up and get her like groove back, right? Get her dignity back. She stands up, she brushes herself off, and she's ready to kind of, you know, get back into it in this moment. And that is the 15th. A new vision coming again here with Venus, and a new idea of what our goals are, what our desires are, and what that looks like for us. Because as she has moved through Scorpio over the last month, she's really been hit with a lot of stuff that she knows she doesn't want or she can't carry forward. And so she's released some of that baggage. And as she moves into Sagittarius, she's ready to speak on and actively release anything that is still kind of straggling here. So that's on the 15th. And on the 16th, we start to see Jupiter and Saturn playing this little dance at the end of Capricorn and the beginning of Aquarius. And this is what leads up to the 21st conjunction that happens at 0 degrees Aquarius. So on the 16th, Jupiter is at 29 degrees Capricorn. Saturn is also at 29 degrees Capricorn, and the moon will be at Capricorn, and it will run over them both at 29 degrees Capricorn on the 16th. So the 16th has a tendency to be emotional in a way that you wouldn't necessarily see. Okay, so this is all Capricorn energy that we've been dealing with, structures being rebuilt, and now we're at the end of it. So anytime we're at the end of it, there's a potential for frustration and, you know, emotions and loss and concern and all of these different feelings, right? Uncomfortable feelings when we're at endings of things. With the moon traveling over, there are emotions there. Okay, so this is also, though, an opportunity for a really beautiful time to kind of understand the things that have been being restructured and really tapping into where you're going with the foundations that you have been building. So this is on the 16th as they all hover right there at 29 degrees Capricorn. You will have the conjunction about to happen in 0 degrees Aquarius in a few days. So on the 17th or the 16th, depending on where you are in the world, Saturn moves into Aquarius finally. And that is a huge relief for a lot of people when that happens. You may not feel it automatically. It may take a couple days or even a couple weeks, depending on where these things hit in your specific chart. But on the 17th, when Saturn moves into Aquarius, this is the first shift into an airier sign. Saturn is still at home in Aquarius. It still feels very comfortable there, but it's not as harsh of a boundary, right? So we're going to start to feel a little more free as we move through that. On the 19th, Saturday, Jupiter is moving faster than Saturn at this point, right? So Jupiter moves into Aquarius on the 19th and gets closer to it moves in on the 19th and gets closer to Saturn at 0 degrees. So they're still both at 0 degrees Aquarius, okay? Saturday the 19th. On the same day, the Sun and Mercury are conjunct. Okay, this is important because the Sun and Mercury play another role as this shift happens. So the reason you're not going to feel, one of the reasons you're not going to feel a huge shift is because Mercury and the Sun are going to be anchoring us into that Capricorn energy, and I'll explain that in a moment. So on the 19th, Saturday, we have Jupiter has now also entered Aquarius. So Saturn and Jupiter are at 0 degrees Aquarius, beginning to form their exact conjunction. The Sun and Mercury are conjunct together at the end of Sagittarius on the 19th. On the 20th, Mercury moves into Capricorn, and on the 21st, the Sun moves into Capricorn. So both the Sun and Mercury are in Capricorn by the 21st. Okay, this is anchoring us into that Capricorn energy. It's anchoring us, our Sun, our expression, our the way we show up in the world, our Mercury, the way we communicate, the way we think, the way we perceive. This energy is keeping us anchored in the past, right? In the Capricorn-ness that we've been feeling. As Saturn and Jupiter move out into Aquarius. So that's why you're not going to feel this big, huge shift on the 21st when we move into Aquarius with those two outer planets, because we're being grounded in Capricorn by the Sun and Mercury moving in at that same time, right? So the 20th and the 21st. So that is Monday. The 21st is the solstice. It's Monday. It's Sun in Capricorn. It's the grand conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius, which happens every 20 years. Okay, so this conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter happens every 20 years. Okay, it is a big deal for other reasons this year, because for the first time it's moving into air, and we'll get into that when I do that cosmic update. But this conjunction happens every 20 years. So let's just get that out there. So there is a shift, but remember, there's a ton of different cycles, and each person's going to feel it differently, which means, you know, it's going to play out in the collective in different ways as well. Another cosmic update coming for the solstice and the grand conjunction, but just some side notes there on that. So that's the 21st. By the 23rd, we have Mars forming its last and final square to Pluto. Okay, so the Mars and Pluto squares have been happening with the Capricorn Council, right? So that's been happening all year. The same time that Mars squares Pluto, we're in Aries and Capricorn. The moon will also be in Aries, and it will run over Mars at the end of the day. This is the 23rd. This has the potential to be very combustible. There is a lot of energy happening here on the 23rd. Okay, so in the collective, we're going to have a lot of shifting air energy. That is mental, that is anxiety, that is gossipy, that is manipulation, that is propaganda, that is a whole bunch of air stuff, okay? The other part of it is going to be this fire energy that's coming in. So this Mars and Pluto square is going to be intense, fiery, aggressive, just intense energy, okay? The moon is also there, which is going to be emotional in a fire sign. And with all of that combustible energy happening, there's potential for a lot of frustration. With Pluto being involved, is the potential for power dynamics. Someone taking advantage, someone being a bully, someone manipulating. That could be yourself to others, that could be other people to you, or to, you know, like people that don't even have anything to do with you. But that is the energy that could be present in this moment. It could be a great time to channel your energy to attack something that has needed to get done with awareness so that we can move forward. Because again, very combustible potential here to, you know, just really kind of go down a rabbit hole or lash out, land your anger and aggression on other people. This is a day where I would talk to most of my clients about exercising, because this is a day where exercising may make it more, you know, may make you more angry, more frustrated because of all of this combustible energy that's happening. And again, this is around the 23rd. So this is getting right in the middle of the winter holidays, right? So it's an emotional time for a lot of people anyway. Seasonal mental illnesses are at peak. We have COVID stuff going on. There's stuff happening all throughout the world. And so this energy has the ability to be very difficult, to be very aggressive, to be very loud. And so just being aware of that and keying in on how to utilize the energy in your best interest, taking a look at your chart, seeing what it is that you've been healing from, because Chiron is still active, and Chiron gives you the ability to find healing in this, to step out of old patterns and old cycles that have been holding you back, and really kind of dig into your truth and how you export and process your energy in that moment. So that's happening on the 23rd. On the 24th, Chiron is now moving direct, and it squares Mercury. So with a square, squares are normally a hard aspect. So this could be uncomfortable, right? So there is a square to Mercury. Mercury and the sun are still very close though. So as soon as that square with our wounded healer and Mercury, our expressor, they hit a square, and then soon after that, the sun will square our wounded healer as well. So this is potential, right? So again, a square is oftentimes uncomfortable, but there's the ability to find healing in finding common ground with people, finding forgiveness of yourself, or a compromise, or a way to move forward. This is also a day that could be difficult to move forward. It could be a day where you decide that forgiveness isn't happening, and that's okay, and you get to move forward anyway. So this is the energy that's happening on the 24th and the 25th, and having this happening with Chiron in Aries and the sun and Mercury in Capricorn, that's pulling that same Capricorn Aries energy that we have felt all 2020. So think back to what we've been healing this year and how that may be coming up for you around this time, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, as we get closer to this full moon at the end of December. So we have the squares happening, and then shortly after we have trines happening with Mercury and the sun and Uranus, and this softens that kind of blow of the squares to our wounded healer, because Uranus in Taurus is bringing us new ideas, new revelations, new thought processes, different like perspectives of things that may help kind of smooth and soothe the wounds that we have had activated over the previous days. So if you celebrate Christmas, this is right on Christmas. So that's going to tie into any holiday stuff that is coming up for you this year. Holidays are hard this year. They're specifically difficult for a lot of people. So this trine to Uranus after the square to Chiron is the ability to soften the aspects with new understanding and fresh perspectives, and kind of like breakthroughs of a way into the future, if you will. At the same time, the moon will be entering Taurus, and that just kind of gives us that extra little bit of comfort and soothingness when it links up with Uranus for these nice trines to Mercury and the sun. And this energy is what leads into the full moon in Cancer. So that's where I get that this may be a good time for a soothing energy as we get to the moon, because we've already kind of come up into that Uranus in Taurus with the moon in Taurus, soothing, nurturing, comforting energy, and then the full moon in Cancer, where it feels comfortable, right? But against the sun in Capricorn, where it's not so comfortable. But in this day and age, we're taking this as comfort, right? Because everything else is even more uncomfortable. So it's, when I say a soothing moon, I don't necessarily mean it's going to be the most amazing day of your life. What I'm saying is, in comparison to some of the other days that we have felt, this has the potential to be softer as we move out. And then, you know, it's on the 30th, on Wednesday, the day after, the Venus does square Neptune. And this just brings out the ability again to find what's true for us and find the healing in that, and recognize that this isn't a reset button. This is a time for us to stand up and see the truth in a better way now, as we can move into 2021 with more awareness and more understanding and a broader sense of what our actual community looks like, and how we can utilize that to strengthen the communities that we're a part of. So there's a lot. There's a lot happening. 2020 is a lot. And again, we will do another couple cosmic updates this month. I'll hit on the 21st. I'll hit on the moons. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. There's so much else that, is happening. So your chart is going to react differently based on your placements. So if you have any questions about what may be coming up for you, feel free to shoot me a message on any of my platforms, and I'll help you with the time and space I have, or you can book directly on my Facebook or by messaging me on any of my platforms. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. We will talk soon, and I hope that you have a good December.